Hi guys, and welcome to the Watch Lobby. In today's video, we'll be reviewing a piece that's near and dear to me and has and always will have a special place in my collection. That piece is the Rolex Submariner 114060. Before we get started, I'd like to start by saying that I hope with these watch reviews I can earn your subscription. I do my best with no experience in recording or video editing, but with an insane passion for watches. These videos come to fruition. I know my videos aren't at the level of the bigger channels, but my passion for the hobby is what keeps this channel moving along, and it really does mean a lot to have all of you around for the journey. I've always seen the Rolex Submariner as one of Rolex's most iconic pieces, as I'm sure a lot of others out there would have as well. Now for me, this particular piece marked a milestone in my life. This watch was purchased on my first wedding anniversary way back in 2015. I was lucky enough to be able to purchase this piece at retail before a lot of the steel sports hype took off. I never purchased a watch with the intention of making a dollar. I've always been of the mindset to purchase what you like, not what the hype indicates. Now, I know that sounds a bit cliche as we look down at the black dial Submariner, but remember, back in 2015, you could still pick up a pre-owned Submariner under list. Not massively under list, but under list nonetheless. Rolex got the recipe right with the sub. It truly appeals to the masses, and there has to be a reason for that. In a way, however, I feel that over the past few years, the lines of watchmaking appeal and design versus making a profit have been blurred. In today's video though, we'll be looking at the watch purely from its own merits rather than its price and market performance. Maybe that's something for another video. But without further ado, here's my review of the Rolex Submariner 114060. In 2012, we saw the release of the Rolex Submariner 114060. I immediately fell in love. Starting with the case. With the release of the 6-digit reference of the 116610 in 2010, we saw one of the most significant case changes Rolex has ever made to the Submariner. The release of what was dubbed the Maxi case, especially in the early years, was very polarizing, adding size to the case and giving it a more squared off appearance versus the latest 5-digit models of the time. When taking my own case measurements, they came in like this. A case diameter, when measured diagonally from the 10-minute marker to the 40-minute marker, came in at 40.5 millimeters. However, taking the measurement horizontally, which would include the crown, the measurement came in at 44.5 millimeters. A lug-to-lug measurement of 47.6 millimeters. The thickness came in at 12.7 millimeters, with a lug width of 20 millimeters. The Maxi Case Submariner resonated with me so much personally, giving it a modern touch with its beefed up case dimensions. The case itself has integrated crown guards, giving the trip-lock crown a little bit of added protection. Rolex used trip-lock crowns on their dive-rated watches. A trip-lock crown is identified by the 3 small dots located under the crown. The case has a brushed finish on the lug hoods and a polished finish on the side of the case and crown guards. Sitting atop of the case, we see the 120 click bezel with a Cerachrome bezel insert. For those that are unaware, Cerachrome is Rolex's patented ceramic bezel. I absolutely love Cerachrome inserts, giving off different hues of black in different lighting. From a dark gloss black through to a washed out ghosted black, all depending on the lighting. The bezel action itself is amazing, although it does have a bit of backplay in the bezel. Moving in from the bezel, we have Rolex's sapphire crystal. A point to note about Rolex's sapphire crystal is they only use anti-reflective coating on the underside of the crystal. Another notable addition of the crystal is Rolex's etched crown logo located at the 6 o'clock marker. To see it, you'll need to be in the right light at the right angle, but it's there. Not something you're likely to notice unless you go looking for it. Taking a step down from the crystal, we have the retort with the inscriptions Rolex, 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 the entire way around with the serial number again at the 6 o'clock position and a crown logo at the 12. I love the little nuances Rolex add to their pieces. From there, we look into the gloss black dial. Some might find it boring, and it may well be, but it is definitely well executed. White minute markers surround the dial, with round white gold applied indices making their way around the dial with rectangular markers at 3, 6 and 9, and a triangle marker indicating 12, all of which are filled with Rolex's Chromalight lume, which lights up that amazing blue we've all become familiar with. The dial is printed with that Rolex crown logo at 12, the word Rolex and Oyster Perpetual, and down at the 6 the words Submariner, which of course is the model, 1000 feet equals 300 meters, superlative chronometer officially certified, and under the 6 o'clock marker the words Swiss made. For the handset, we see again in white gold the sword minute hand and the lollipop seconds hand with the ever so iconic Mercedes hour hand again, all filled with a generous amount of Chromalight lume. Flipping this one over, we see nothing. A plain steel caseback, no inscriptions or print whatsoever. Only the knurling used to open the caseback. Under the caseback is where we'd find the COSC certified in-house caliber 3130. A robust, no-nonsense movement, built to literally just tell the time, and tell the time accurately, and it does that wonderfully. I say accurately relative to automatic movements though. If you want spot-on accuracy, look at your phone. As we move into one of my most complained about aspects on this channel, bracelets. Rolex again knock it out of the park. I am an absolute sucker for comfort on wrist, and this bracelet delivers. Continuing on from the case with the same finishing, the top of the bracelet is brushed, with the side of the bracelet being polished. The oyster steel bracelet starts off at 20mm at the lug, tapering down to the last link at 15mm, and the clasp width itself coming in at 17.5mm. This is one super comfortable bracelet. The clasp is something to be talked about on its own. Fitted with a friction flip lock, locking the clasp down with the Rolex logo resting nicely on top. When opened, we see the levered locking system securing the clasp shut. Giving the lever a little pull sees the lock release and the clasp open. When opened, we see the machine clasp that folds brilliantly into itself. But something that a lot of manufacturers forget about is taking off those sharp, harsh edges on the inside of the clasp. Not Rolex. The part of the clasp that hugs your wrist is completely rounded off from any pointy sharp corners. It's those subtle touches that truly elevate the comfort for me. While we're here, how can we forget about the glide lock system? I know Rolex already had the Easy Link extension in some of their other watches to combat the swelling of wrist during the day. But in true tool watch fashion, the Submariner is fit for purpose, with the glide lock clasp giving the wearer the ability to extend the bracelet open by another 20mm. Albeit the glide lock was built in as a diver's extension, it really helps with almost infinite micro adjustability on the run. So, for my final thoughts on the Rolex Submariner 114060. I'm genuinely finding it hard to fault the Rolex Submariner. If I were to be super critical, I would say the bezel action could do with a tighten up. What I don't remember, however, is if this is how the bezel was when I got it new 5 years ago. So maybe it's just what happens over the years of wear. Even then, I'm really just trying to pick a fault with the sub. As it sits, in hand, it's quite clear to see why prior to the steel sports hype, the Submariner amassed a large cult following. Its fit and finish is second to none compared to pieces I've personally handled. And sure, there are better watches out there, but none that I've handled firsthand and can give my own feedback on. For returning viewers, you know I've gone on and on about the comfort of a watch. And this, like most Rolexes deliver, it really is the small things that elevate a good watch to a great watch, and this is an example of that. Yes, I am a self-proclaimed Rolex fanboy, but if you're in the market for a luxury diver's watch, really give the Rolex Submariner a thought. It is a brilliant piece that has stood the test of time, and I'm sure it will in the decades to come. With that, we've come to an end of another watch review. Please guys, if you like what you've seen, it means a lot if you could subscribe to my channel. And, as always, thank you and stay safe.